Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our video lesson. Have a good day to all of us and to our pretty instructor, Miss Sofia M. Abdullah. So today I am your teacher Hananyo Abdullah from BSL 2A. So in our subject, which is the structure of English,
our learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, students are expected to identify the basic use of tense aspect system for different combination of the word in a sentence, explain the difficult construct of the sentence in tense aspect, value the importance of the tense aspect, and apply tense aspect rules to analyze the sentence.
So this time, we're going to tackle about the use of the tense aspect system. Therefore, this is the part of the chapter 7, which is the tense and aspect system. So, in ways that are not true for other structures. The meaning used distinguished in the tense aspect system. It's difficult to discern what we have therefore attempted to do to anticipate the troublesome boundaries from ESL and EFL, the English Filipino Learning Student, to which we alluded earlier, and to elucidate the differences by calling upon both semantic and pragmatic resources. So, now I will discuss the understanding difficult construct and tense aspect combination. Therefore, we have 8 construct and tense aspect combination. So, the first one here is simple present versus present progressive. So, the present progressive is used for limited action in progress, while the simple present is more compatible with state. Thus, this distinguish is manifest in the following way. As simple as that is the simple present is they use in ginagamit siya para sa mga pangyayari or events na paulit-ulit or di kaya ay pangkalahatan ba. While the present progressive naman is they use when the action is progress or di kaya they use naman siya para sa mga event na nagaganap in present. So like for instance, letter A is action happening at the moment of speaking versus habit. So example here is, so why are you wearing glasses? So it is a moment of speech. So nangyayari siya right now. And then the next one here is, why do you wear glasses? Habitual siya. So bakit ka nagsusuot ng glass? The next one here is, the letter B here is temporary event versus permanent situation. Like for instance, Linda is living with her parents. That is temporary until she gets a better job. So, yung tinatawag natin na temporary event. So, the permanent situation is, example here is Linda lives with her parents. That is permanent because it costs her too much to live alone. So, that's the example of temporary event versus permanent situation. Letter C here is specific event versus general situation. The example here is, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? So, that is this one specific, which is the Thanksgiving holiday, the forthcoming one. Next is yung general situation is, what do you do for Thanksgiving? So the holiday each year, that is the general situation, which is the holiday. The letter D is activity versus state naman. So two different lexical entries required. Kailangan dito is yung activity versus. Example here is, I am thinking about the answer. That is mental activity. So, iniisip niya about his or her answer. And another thing is, I think it is 144. That is a mental state or default. He thinks about, he or he thinks it is a number or 100. The second one here is present perfect progressive emphasize activity as conferred with the achievement with the present perfect. Thus, the following distinguish may occur. Letter A, specific and possible, still ongoing activity versus prior. Example here is, I have been visiting my great-grandmother. That is possible, still ongoing siya. The second one example is, I have visited. Kumbaga, tapos na. My great-grandmother. That is prior event. So, yun yung pagkakaiba niya. Letter B is strong implication of combination versus continuation being only a possibility. The example is, I have been teaching for 25 years. I can't imagine doing anything else. Next one here is, I have taught for 25 years. So now it's time to think about doing something else. So kung mag-base tayo doon sa strong implication of continuation verb is hindi siya maganda pakinggan. So in fact, with this pair, of example is that the present perfect progressive implies continuations unless it is contradicted by the clause. So, ang mangyayari is, I have been teaching for 25 years but now I want to do. That is a correct arrangement. Letter C is single accomplishment, incomplete versus a complete one. So, example, Zhao has been remodeling her home, incomplete siya. Another example is Zhao has remodeled her home, that is complete. So the third one here is the simple past present perfect. So this distinguish extremely difficult for many BLS, ESL, and AFL students to make. You could call their attention to some sentence level construct, but this distinguish is often based sorted out and the level. So like for instance, Shala joined the chess club. The difference of the sentence is the first one is they have the hat, and the second one sentence is there's nothing hat. So that's the difference. So the past tense is used for the complete historical period versus an incomplete one. So like for instance, my father lived here all this. So complete implies the father has left or he is dead. The next the other thing is my father has lived here all his life. So incomplete, which is the father still lives there. So the present perfect is used for indefinite versus definite. So like for example, have you ever gone to phonics? So did you go to phonics? So you said that you traveled to the southwest last summer. In fact, you could almost have to have some shared knowledge with your listener to use the specific past tense in the sense of situation. Use of the present perfect in such context does not permit fusion shared knowledge. The fourth one here is the simple present past progressive. The letter A is the past progressive indicates incomplete versus complete action. So, yung tinutukoy naman dito, yung past progressive that indicates incomplete versus complete action. Let's talk about the action. So, we was drowning in the lake. So, the lifeguard raced to the water. That is incomplete. He drowned in the lake. That is complete. That's the difference. Letter B is simple past since the event has totally with no room for change. Past progressive indicates that an event has already begun and is extended. The event in time and thus allows for all change or its interruption. Like for instance, he left when I came in, then he was living when I came in, and so may have changed his mind and stayed. The letter C is permanent versus temporary. There is talk about the permanent and temporary. They lived in the Baltimore all their lives. That is a past permanent. Another thing is they were living in Baltimore during the 70s. That's with past temporary. The fifth one here is simple past versus past perfect, which is letter A is the past perfect is used to mark the completion of the some event before and past time period. The example is by the end of the 1920s, women in the United States had won the right to vote, or before another past event that is simple past. Pat had blamed them for the problem, therefore he considered all the events. So, however, it is possible to report this same sequence with two events using just the simple past tense for both since the time adverbial. So makes clear and the sequence. So like this. Pat blamed them for the problem before they consider all the evidence. Even without the time adverbial, the simple past tense can be used with both clauses. In the sequence of the clauses follows the sequence of. So like for instance, Mario worked in an insurance company for 20 years and retired in 1997. So only when the clauses before two events out of the sequence and there are no time adverbial, what indicates the actual order in the past perfect necessary. When Mario became a photographer, she had finished her degree in fine art. So letter B is sometimes the past perfect appears to the letter other than the period of the two events. in a two closest sequence. So I answered before she collected it before I had finished. Notice here is both the event in the subordinate clause was not actually completed. In this case, it appears that the past perfect is a kind of implied counterfactual, suggesting the event in the subordinate clause was not completed or did not occur. So here again, the simple past tense will often do without a change in meaning. I answered before she asked. That is the example. The next one is simple future, will versus other ways of indicating futurity. A simple future with will is used for the following. Future prediction. Glenda will be 40 years. Example is Glenda will be 40 years. A spontaneous decision when the person has control over the action. So I will get the phone. So kung mapapansin they have will. Letter B is be going to use the following. Like future prediction, so more informal than will. So yung will is more informal siya para sa going. So like for example, Glenda going to be 40 next year. So kung mapapansin natin is dahil napalitan siya ng going. So future intention based on the prior decision. Example is Randy and Joyce are going to get married in October. Next is future certainty based on the current condition or present evidence. Like for instance, Pauline's going to have a baby. Or another thing is it's going to rain today. So the letter C is present progressive is used for the following. Future plans that have already been made. So yun mga future plans na kumagatap. I'm marching in the parade next week. Yung events na kailangan or pinaplano. Letter D is simple present is used for the following fixed schedules events. So we get paid next Friday. So subordinate clauses of time is thus beginning with when, after, before, etc. Or condition like provide that, if, as long as, and etc. So like for example, if the rain arrives on time, we'll beat rush hour getting home. So some of these uses are very close and difficulties may arise accordingly. Here are some observations that may help to distinguish some. So the number 7 is simple future versus future progressive. The future progressive allows the possibility of change with regards to some future event. Like for instance, we'll go to Everglades National Park on our vacation. That is definite plan. Or another thing is we'll be going to Everglades National Park on our vacation. So less definite in that it allows for a change in plan. We'll be going to Everglades National Park unless we run out of time. So that is the difference. Next is we will offer the class next semester. So more definite siya. Another thing is we will be offering the class next semester. More tentative in that it allows for change. So either it's cancellation or if not enough student enrolled in it. The last one here is the number 8, simple future versus future perfect. So as to the other perfect aspect, the future perfect marks an event activity that is complete prior to some other time. So in this case, future. Or complete prior to some other future event. So like for instance, by the year 2008, the information of superhighway will have become accessible to all. Or like Megan will have moved by the time she completes her study. So simple future alone suggests that the event's activity begins with that time mentioned. So, nung una by the year 2018, this time is the information superhighway will become accessible to all by the year. So the information superhighway will become accessible to all by the year 2008. Next is Megan will move when she complete her study. So that is the difference. So that is the 8 difficult question in a tense aspect combination. So thank you for watching. This time, direction, make a 10 example of the sentence using the different part of the tense aspect or the combination of aspects. Gagawa nyo lang ng one example of each types of tense aspect, combination of tense aspect. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. You can like, share, subscribe to my channel for more lesson update. Thank you for watching. Bye!